Hey, how's it going? Can you hear me on the mic?
Yeah.
Yes, perfect. All right, guys, we can start here in 5 minutes or so. Got the mic on and
I had
ready to
been
go.
in the SIE program for a while.
hmm
Has it changed into a new program?
No, I'm still Kaplan, but they typically update them like either a 3.2,
Maybe it is.
4 point, yeah. So they always do that, but basically the process is still going to be the same as far as that is concerned. Hopefully you guys are doing great today. We're going to get started. Today we're going to go, the 7 fundamentals as we started last time. We were talking about doing the presentation. Today we're going to talk a little bit about the products, right? We got to understand the products. And the best way, I think, to for you guys online as well, is to understand how to log on to your POL, right? We're gonna go into some steps into a couple of the basics. Life insurance, obviously. We're gonna go into some of the client solutions, right? How to really do that, and then we're gonna navigate the investments. We'll leave for another day. That's gonna be a little bit more stuff, but we want to talk about how to, when you get licensed. This is going to be basically, this training is going to be for you guys that are like, you just got licensed from your life insurance, you got some certifications. Also remember, go on there and get your annuity license, right? Olympia, right? We started doing some annuities with Olympia, right? So you got to make sure you go in and get your annuities, fixed indexed and indexed annuities certifications. We'll go over that as well. But two major things we're gonna basically go through today. One is how to do your life insurance quotes, how to look at your life insurance policies. We're gonna go into CRM a little bit, and then I'll show you some of the products and stuff. But I think understanding your CRM, right when you get licensed, understanding your CRM and understanding life insurance quotes, how to maneuver that, and then how to do your financial needs analysis, right? A lot of, let me tell you this, a lot of offices don't do financial needs analysis. They just either want to sell life insurance and that's it. We've always taught the financial needs analysis. We've always done our own financial needs analysis. So I think one of your biggest selling points is when you do your own financial needs analysis, it's going to be easier for you guys to talk about it, right? It's really important on that end. So let's make sure when we are logged in, right? Go to your browser, obviously. We'll go hop on there, and then on here, right when you log in, there's going to be two options. There's going to be mobile. You can switch to mobile. The mobile view basically is going to be your iPad or iPhone or phone, Android, whatever you use, is going to be that version. Again, unless if you're at a desktop, I would never use the mobile view unless you're doing an app, right? And I'll show you here in a little bit what I mean about that. And so we're going to leave it at desktop view, so we're not going to mess with that. We're going to log in, obviously. You should have your password and all that, right? So when you're on here, it looks really complicated, right? Because you get a bunch of information as soon as you open it, which is really awesome. We want to talk about our April incentives. So if you want to know what's going on right now, the best way is to go to the April incentives, right? Right away, click on it, and it's going to give you what's going on, the top things, right? So look at this, get life or securities license in April, right? Or be the first license upline of a downline. So like you get a direct person to get licensed who gets life or securities license and collect 200K takeover patch, right? Which is awesome. You can use it for your, right? Or a 50K securities license patch, which is your securities license, right? One patch per rep per category, right? So again, if you get securities license in April, you get the securities patch. If you get life license in April, you get the 200K takeover. Okay. That means the company is focusing on getting 200,000 life license and 50,000 securities license reps. And you got a couple other incentives, right? 3x3, things you can do, get your jacket and so forth, right? So, RVPs, right? 10 recruits and 100,000 of securities volume, right? Or 10 recruits or 10,000 in premium. And you have to do 1,000 in premium, right? So grow your submitted base shop premium. RVPs, grow your premium by 25%. You get your Titans of term, and then grow your securities as well by 25%, and you get security superstars, right? We actually got those last month as well, so that's still in effect, right? And then if you grow your base shop and or total securities in Q2 over quarter of last year, then you get the helmet, which is awesome, right? So those are going to be for the RVPs. But again, right away, you're going to see when you come to PO at Home, you're going to find that information. So make sure you navigate on that, right? Again, all of this stuff, you can just click on something, tons of training. But what we're really going to concentrate here today is two things. On my POL here, all apps, because I'm going to show you some things there, and products. Okay? Products, guys, I know we teach products sometimes, and sometimes, we might go a couple of weeks before we touch a product. You can always go onto your Primerica online, and there's tons of information on each product. Okay? I always tell everyone to be assertive and go in there and look for, hey, Henry, how does Legal Shield work? Well, go to Primerica Legal Protection Products, Primerica Legal Protection. How does Vivint work? Go to Primerica Vivint, right? Products, life insurance, products, investments, right? Auto and home products, right? So you can always go on there, and when you click on one of those, you got videos, you got presentations, you got stuff that we really, sometimes we touch on our Saturdays, right? So let's start with a couple of them, ones that are not license required, which is Vivint, right? Vivint Home Automation. So we go to products and then we go to Vivint. Okay, really simple. If you have not done this, you can go to videos and click on your new rep incentive. Click on that. You're going to get a quick video of how Vivint works. On these, they consistently have incentives, right? All the time, they have incentives, right? So like right now in April, you get $250 for every 2 successful Vivint installations on top of your pay. RVPs on an extra $500 bonus if you do 5 in your office. So you constantly have incentives every month. I think Olympia is pretty good about posting on our Telegram the new incentives. So there's incentives all the time, right? But the videos, we'll click on here, new incentive. If it's in Spanish, your reps are in Spanish, they can go see that in Spanish. Okay, so make sure they do that, right? Our Legal Shield, same thing with that. What's going on with our Legal Shield? You can go on here, look at that. POPP, there's a bonus, right? Earn $75 bonus for every 3 or more personal sales, right? This in April. Click on here, you're going to see the latest news, webinars, and all that good stuff, right? For Legal Shield, okay? Make sure you're in United States, okay? Also, if you go here to our ID theft, same concept. You click on ID theft, and then you're going to have the incentives, how to do a application for ID theft. You have some videos, right? What it covers. You got some presentations right here, some of the features. So again, our ID theft program. Now, for me, the easiest way to know how this works, if you own it, right? If you own the product, Olympia, you own Legal Shield, so you know how it works. You can tell people right off the bat, hey, listen, you have an attorney, right? We hang out with the attorney all the time, right? With Ross every time he's in Houston, right? So the best way is to remember, have the product, right? And then we're going to go into our auto and home. Again, If you do it a lot, it's pretty simple, right, Olympia? Olympia does a good amount of quotes for auto and home, right? You got two ways to refer a client, right? You can either call it in, or you can do what? Set it up online. Perfect, right? So you see here, takes you making a referral. You can call it in with your client. I like calling it in. Some people like Henry know to send me when you do that. So if you click on that one, refer a client. So you're going to go agree, and then it's going to take you. Now, what I would do is create a password here, because you'll keep all your clients that you referred. You can go back and do that, right? Your ID and password, do that. If you don't want to do all that, then you can just go straight to referring someone, right? You want to do an auto and home quote, click on it, and then bam, there you go. You're going to put the client's information, you're going to put your information as a rep, and then you're going to go straight into when do you want them to call. If you can pick up driver's license info or quote info, if it's yours, you can upload it here. Really simple with a picture and so forth, right? So what it does is you'll set up a time and day, Spanish or English, and they will call the client, right? So remember the time and day, you keep track of it, and then guess what happens? I would call 10 minutes after that time and talk with the client, or see if they did call them, see if everything went through, follow up, right? Don't just set it up and be like 2 weeks later, hey, what happened? No, right? Set it up. If I'm saying Cynthia, they're going to call you tomorrow at 2 p.m., I'm calling Cynthia at 2:15 p.m. and say, Cynthia, did they call you? And she might say, yes, they called me at 2. We got the quote done. They helped me or didn't help me. Or they might, or Cynthia might say, hey, they didn't call me, right? Hey, so then I got to call what? Secure and see what happened, okay? So make sure you follow up with that. But that's the referral
I
one.
have something to add.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, what I did, I set up my own appointment, and this is what happens, okay? The client is gonna receive an email, the agent is going to receive an email, the appointment was set up, okay, and who's gonna be calling, the client.
The client?
And then, when they say it's between 1 and 1:30, that's a window. So don't get all frustrated if she doesn't call you right at 1, it's a window.
Okay.
It could be between 1 and 1:30, okay, so don't get upset. What else? And then, they calling from a 1-8 number, so some phones have an app on their phone, especially the Apples, they don't accept 800 numbers, so FYI, they're calling from a 1-8 something number.
Right.
Okay, just few points.
Right, and those things you can tell the client right at the beginning, right? Just say, hey, look, it's going to be between 1 and 1:30. Hey, they're going to call you from a 1-800 number, right? So if they're expecting it, they will answer, right? If 1-800 number calls them, it was supposed to be at between 1 and 1:30, and they call them at 12:30, they don't have to answer that, because that's not going to be us. It's between 1 and 1:30. All right, so here are the referral, what pays out, right? $100 per, if you're a rep, you make $100 on the auto, $95 on the home insurance. Okay, another thing on this, right? You have to have a downline, okay? So for Texas, if you're not licensed for auto and home, you cannot get paid directly, okay? But this referral program has it to where if you recruit someone, you have a downline, you can put their information and it pays to the next person above that, okay? So if I'm Cynthia's new teammate, right, and Cynthia wants to quote one of her clients, Cynthia will put my information, Henry Ramos, my solution number, and Cynthia can look that up on her. I'll show you here where she can look it up, her downlines information, right? So let's say the client does go with the auto and home, right? They're supposed to pay me because I'm her downline, but I'm not licensed, so it gets paid to who? Cynthia, okay? Now, if you are licensed, like I'm licensed for auto and home insurance, I can just put my name on there, okay? If you recruit someone or you bringing in a teammate that's already auto and home insurance license, We're gonna have to set them up, and they would just put their rep number and information, and they would pay them directly. Make sense, right? If you're not licensed for auto and home, right, then you'd have to put a downline. Okay, just remember that on your auto and home referrals. Right, that's the easiest one, right? Put a recruit one of your kids, and put a kid has the downline, and you'll get paid all the time. Olympia is not auto and home licensed, but she puts her husband. Her husband's her downline, right? And she gets paid, right? So there is a use for husbands and wives out there, right? Besides the regular stuff, right? So auto and home. If you're RVP, you get paid $135 for that auto, and $102 for the home. And then if you're an RVP, you do get paid on renewals every time they renew that policy. Okay? So you see there, it's going to be almost like 10% on the renewal, and on the homeowner is going to be about 5%, right? So just remember that. That's another reason for you to go get your RVP promotion, right? Because you get paid on renewals. Again, so that's where your products are there. Those are going to be your main 3 products that we use that don't require a license, right? Like I said, auto and home, you can put a downline, okay? And they have incentives all the time, right? As well. And if they ask you, you can go on here, guys. People are like, who are you guys going to quote with? If you look here, you can put your partners, right? Look at this. If you click on here on our because they used to have a partners thing here. Let me just make sure. Yeah, because where is it at? Because I know they had a.
What about on the materials? No, commercial insurance.
Oh, that's
No.
testimonials. Let me see our partners. One second, guys. Also, your reports, right? It tells you where to go track your reports. So if you go to, we're going to talk about all apps here because this is mainly where you're going to be looking up client stuff, right? All apps, track my business, auto and home, right? So you're going to be able to go there. All right, tells you the scripts, letters you can send to clients, all that good stuff. You want to do that. You got some brochures that are PDF if you want to download those. I'll let you know, guys, when I find it here, but because it tells you where you need license. If you can quote others in other states, guys, this is where they don't require a license, and you would put your personal information. You see Texas does require a license, so you have to put a downline, right? In the red states, you have to be the one licensed, and you cannot put a downline, so you have to be on that as well, right? So again, here are some good informations for you to, if you want to get licensed, there's some things you can use for us to do that, right? Right, so that's the product section there, guys. That's where you're going to be spending most of your time learning about products, right? I got to see what happened to that. Because we used to have a set list, right, Olympia, of all the companies we use, right? I will let you guys know. All right, so let's jump into life insurance, right? You are just, again, this training mainly is going to be for the ones that just got life insurance license, because we're going to hit that really, really good, right? So life insurance license, if you go here under the products for life insurance license, guys, there's a couple of things that I suggest you go into. One is, right, you can definitely go in there, read the products. That's going to be some good information, right? Practice application, okay? If you go to practice application, right, is going to give you a presentation. It's going to walk you through how to do an actual life insurance application, right? I'm gonna I'm gonna show you where to go to do that. But here you're gonna see everything. Like when you begin, right? It's gonna ask you, "Welcome to continue to do your new policy," right? And then it's gonna right off the bat, gonna give you, "Hey, are you doing electronic signatures?" Yes, all the time, right? You're gonna continue, and it's gonna go through the questions. You're gonna go through, are you adding more coverage? It's gonna give you a bunch of different things. Go through it and look at each section, right? We're going to talk about a couple of things here, but it walks you through the whole application, which is really nice. So you don't have no surprises when you're doing your first application. You're like, "Oh, Mr. and Mrs. Client, I don't know what's going on. Give me a second." No. Walk through it so you know how it goes, okay? So we're going to leave that up. We're going to come back to that later. If we go to quick links here, if you need a form, right? Because sometimes you do the app and it might go through and they get accepted right there on the spot. Sometimes they're gonna need different other things. So to find forms, right? You're gonna go to life insurance, then you're gonna quick links, and then you're gonna go to forms, and then obviously you're gonna choose U.S. life forms, right? So then if you're in Texas, you're gonna click Texas. And then it's going to have, right, like a claim form, right? If you ever start that process, right? If they need other things, the company will send you an email, and I'll show you where you can go and find, if you didn't get the email, where to go find exactly what you're going to need. But they're going to tell you what they're going to need from you and from the client. So if they say, "Henry, I need a replacement form," then I'm going to come and find the form, and it's going to say replacement form, and I'm going to download it, and I can email it to the client, or we can print it out, take it to the client, right? All the forms are going to be in here, which is really nice, okay? So the quick links is really nice on there. So that's where I want you to stand most of the times. Do that. Quick links and applications. Sales tools, right? This is if you want to, a quick quote overview is going to have some videos on how to do a quick quote. Again, I'm going to go through some things today, but you can go in here, guys, and watch these. Okay, this is what your portal is for you to be on here and take that as much information as you can, right? Any changes or updates, you're going to go to latest news, and it tells you, hey, we have, like for example, this one. You can send the complete coverage changes and everything DocuSign to the client. So that's policy changes, okay? So it's going to have that on there. So products, life insurance, and you're going to jump right in there, okay? So remember, those are the two main links you want to use, quick links and what? Practice application to go see that, and sales tools if you want to see a couple of more videos. Again, products, you can go in there. It's going to tell you the two products that we have, Power Term and Precision Term. This Custom and Wealth, these are all old products that we used to have. Some of them might still be in effect because some of our clients still have them, right? So if you come across a client that already has these, then you can kind of go find out a little bit about the sales. Most of the times you can ask one of us or your RVP, right? So that's going to be mainly the three or four things you're going to be mostly on all the time until you get securities license. Then we're going to hit the investments later, okay? So let's talk about life insurance. Let's jump right into how to do a quote real quick, okay? Because that's really important. We're going to go to two ways you can do that. You can go to Turbo Apps. You can go to the Primerica app, and Primerica app basically is going to be the mobile version of Primerica Online. So let's go to Primerica app, and again, it's going to load now, and it's going to load more onto your, like the app version, like how you would see it in your phone, or how you would see it on an iPad. That's how you're going to be able to see it on here, okay? And you see here, basically is this, right, screen, which is your link, but now you're having it more on the app version, okay? Couple of cool things here as well. You can jump in to see what your new recruits are doing, or what tracking your new recruits. So I'm gonna show you that first, then we'll jump into doing a policy, right? So if you go track your new recruits, right, and it's gonna tell you what's going on, right? So for example, we got a couple of reports here. I really am two things that we want to go on here, right? One is licensing, where they're at on their licensing for life insurance, and field training bonus. Those are the two main things for that. So if you click on field training bonus here, right, it tells you who can now have a field training bonus, right? So we have Maria, we have Mr. Sandy Gonzalez, we have Ruby, which is Victor's wife, and we have Araceli, which is Victor's recruit. So it tells you on here that for them to have their their bonus, they need to set their tests, they need to have POL, right? Gives you a couple of things they need to do. Okay, so right now it tells me, okay, what they've done. They have zero recruits, they have zero policies, right? But it keeps track of that as well. Okay. Let's jump right back into our other one that's the licensing report. It tells you what's going on. It tells you on here, right, if they completed their app to start the process, yes. And it says licensing documents outstanding. I'll click that in a little bit, right? But it tells you here, have they been studying? She's done 6 hours, so that's good, right? She has not started, and Araceli is started, right? So it tells us she went to go take the exam, didn't pass it, right? So it tells you, right, the activity, if they're doing it in field training, and it tells you how many days does she have left to qualify for the bonus, right? Araceli has 18, she has 56, Ruby has 23, and Sandy has 72, right, from the 90 days, okay? So again, it tells you, if you click on each one, it tells you exactly what's going on. So if we click on Sandy there, it tells me, right, overall overview, it tells me, hey, this is her upline, right? And it tells you licensing activity, this is what you want to see. She's not going to class, so we don't worry about that. But it tells me how many hours she's been on there. Okay, so good things to know on your recruit when they're going on, right? So again, we're going to go back, and now we're going to jump into how to do a quote. Really simple. If we go on here, we're jumping into our menu, the three little lines there, and then we're going to go down to tools, there, tools, and then you're going to do a quick quote. Fairly simple, tools and quick quote, okay? If you're in New York, obviously you're going to have to go through a different site there, but if you're not, it's going to show you quick quote there, right? And so right off the bat, I had some stuff that we were quoting, so let's clear the data for both applicants. So we're at 0 now, and now you can start with your applicants. Quote, basically two things. Do they use tobacco or nicotine? We'll put no, and then female or male, and then we'll go with the age.
I got a question on the tobacco and nicotine use. What is vape considered?
Tobacco.
It is considered?
So remember, guys, if we're like, we don't know what it is, if this is kind of how to remember, if smoke is coming out of their mouth, it doesn't matter if it's from the ground, natural, vape,
Okay, so
cigarette,
it's
considered
it's
smoking.
affected.
Yeah,
All
right. So then we're going to go to age, right? So we're going to age, let's say we're going to put that they're 35, right? Male 35. And what I want you to see is that as soon as you put that age, it automatically is going to set this up, your parameters, okay? So you're going to see here, the max they can do is 35-year term, right? They can do shorter as well. But look, if I put, right, a 50-year-old here, right? You see now, there's no 35 available. There's only 30 years term. If I put a 60-year-old in here, there's no longer 30 available. There's only what? 20. So as soon as you hit their age, you're going to get the parameters automatically. Okay? So if you click on here, they can do a 35. We'll do a 30-year just to kind of give you an idea. And remember, we only have two products, right? Power term, precision term. Medical and no medical. That's really basically, that's what that means, right? Power term means no medical. The max, based on their age, that they can do is 300,000, right? If I put 301,000, it's going to give me a red thing. It says what? Cannot exceed. So it's not that you're doing something wrong. It's that you're not in the parameter of what? Power term, which is no medicals. So if they want that extra 1,000 in coverage, they have to do the medicals, okay? And it goes by age too, guys. So if we have a 50-year-old in there, and then you put 300, and it doesn't give, and it gives you the red, then you might need to drop it to 250. You might drop it at 150 until you're out of the parameters, right?
What about 75 years?
Anything above 70, you cannot quote.
Anything above 70, you cannot do.
Cannot do, right? So right now, he is able to do 300,000, right? For 30 years, okay? And then the next question is waiver premium, right? What does that mean? Remember, this is why I want to do this for the people that just got licensed, okay? Waiver premium should be in your test, right? That means if they become disabled, they want their policy to be active still. So if they choose this, that's what that means. After 6 months, they become disabled, their policy will continue to get paid on its own until they come off disability. That's what waiver premium is. And if you don't know, you can click on here and it'll tell you what it is. Okay? Become disabled, their premium gets paid, okay? So let's say they don't want that. They say, Henry, no, I got disability at work. That's fine. But then I have 3 small kids. The max we can insure them is for $50,000, right? I typically just do a funeral cost, which is anything between $20,000 and $25,000 is good, right? I do $25,000, right? And it will automatically give you the premium, $13.55. That is for each kid covered for $25,000. Okay? And then now their monthly premium is what? $88.22. If you want to send this to them and you want to print it out, you can go to quote, right? And it automatically gives you the quote. For your production, right? I'm going to show you in a little bit where it says that. But again, everything's included. You see $65 fee. All that's included on the $88.22 a month, right? No medicals for this 35-year-old male with kids. Make sense? I like to give them a couple of options. You can go in there and put premium table so they can see their options, right? Look at that. Let's go by 25,000 so they can see, right? 250 is 76, 275 is 82, 300 is 88, 200 is 74. So let's say the client wanted 200,000. They're going to pay 74.47. But look, for another 50,000, they will pay $2 more. So hey, Mr. and Mrs. Client, let's get 250,000. Makes sense, right? More value for the client, right? So this premium table I like to use because it gives the client an option and also it tells them, okay, am I making the best decision, price versus value?
Incentive to make the best decision.
Exactly. Right? Because they say, Henry, I only want 200,000, but I'm like, hey, the $2 more, let's get 250. Right? It's not a big deal, right? So this is where you can have the table on here and you can do that part, okay? Now, we go back here. We're going to go back to the quote. Another thing you can do, which is print. You can print this quote out, right? You can print it out. You can print just the quote, or you can print with the premium table. That's how I like to do it. And print the benefits of Primerica, right? Print those three or just two. You don't have to do the agent information. It automatically does it for you, right? So if you click on there, it'll create a PDF you can print, and it will have Cynthia, your name, the office information, the office address, and it will have your email address, not mine, okay? And it'll have the quote, and I put the table as well, right? So, great information to have for the client. Oh, I forgot. Let me go back. I wanted to show you guys the premium table and the benefits of Primerica. Okay, so if we click on that, you're going to see here is going to have a nice little comparison of what we offer versus other companies, right? Again, these other companies typically don't have all this stuff, right? The financial needs analysis that we can give them, right? Hey, a personalized representative to give you all other solutions besides life insurance. Convenience, right? Because it's all electronic. Some other companies don't do electronic, right? They can be insured all the way to 95, right? These are some of the ones I like to use when I'm talking to a client. The number one is 35-year terms. Some companies do not do 35. They only do like 20 or 30. 91% of claims get paid within 14 days. That's one of the ones that I like to use because the clients are asked how long does it take if something happens, right? The other one, up to 70% face amount of terminal illness, right? With waiver of premium, right? So again, that means if you become terminally ill, you can take that money out, right? Then the other one child covers all child's eligible. So for one price, you're covering all the kids, right? So I use some of those. And then the last one, no war or clause. That means if they die of a terrorist attack or a war attack, they will pay their claim. A lot of companies have an exclusion for that. So again, yes, print it out, give it to them, but I would review some things because if they go get a quote somewhere else, I want them to start asking some of this stuff. Do I have no war or terror clause? Do all my kids do I charge my kids each, right? Right? So they got so this is great for you to review with them. And not only that, but they have something in writing, right? You can print it out for them. It wasn't just a quote over the phone, right? So that's really nice on there. Now, if you want to learn, hey, if I do this policy, how much am I going to get paid? So you go back to there. You're going to go to tools, and then you're going to go to agent info. And there you go. You're going to get it in advance. Has a new rep of $183. Has a RVP, $819, right? And production is going to be $819 of production. So when we say, hey, I did 1,000 in premium, I did 800 in premium, this is what we're meaning. What is the total production? Which is typically the $88 that we're paying times 12, right? So again, that is really the base. And this is, you can break it down, their cost and the child's cost for the year, right? $819 in premium. All right, now that's the advance, which we know is 75%. If you want to know how much total commission you're going to pay, remember the difference is going to get paid after the 11th month that the client has a policy with you. So it has a new rep, you're going to get 186, but your total is going to be 248. So you do 248 minus 186. It's going to be what? I got it. Right? 248 minus 186. $62. So when after the 11th month, you're going to get that extra $62. Right? And then the same thing has an RVP. is 1,092. The difference is going to be from 829 is going to be about $200, right? So you're going to get paid after the 11th month. So if you want to know right off the bat, people are like, well, if I do 3 policies, how much am I going to get paid? There you go. You know exactly how much you're going to pay. And this is the benefit of a couple of things I want to touch here is the benefit of not only getting a promotion, right? Because as a senior rep, you get paid more. As a district, you get paid more. As a division, you get paid more. And as a RVP, you get paid more, right? And I want to show you too, the reason why we want to grow a team, right? Because if you have, let's say, Cynthia is a district, right? If she did that policy, she would get an advance of $372. But what about if she had 2 reps that did the same policy? They would make $186, and Cynthia would make the difference between $186 and $372, which is $186. Right? So that's why we want to recruit and license others, because when they do a policy and they're on your team, depending on where you're at, you're going to make a what? Money. You're going to make a profit, right? As a business owner. So imagine if you have 10, imagine if you have 1,000, imagine if you have like Willie Naranjo has 10,000 reps in his whole team, right? That's why he makes $8 million, right? A year. Because any single day, any one of those 10,000 reps or multiple of those reps are going to do what? A policy, right? And that's why we harp on what? Recruiting, licensing, and training others as well, besides doing your own business, right? So this is good to know where to go and check how much you're going to get paid, how to do the quote, right? Like, let's go back in here and let's go back to quote. And now we're going to add, it stays, by the way, if you don't move anything, your quote stays, okay? So you can always come back with it. But let's add the spouse, right? The same thing. We're going to add now the spouse, and now we're going to make her 35 as well. And we're going to do the same coverage, right? For her, we're going to do what? 30 year, 300,000, just to kind of give you an idea, right? And now let's look at what the quote is. Now, when you quote a quote details, it tells you how much each one of them is paying. For the husband and the kids is 88, and for the wife is what? 56. Right? So your the total monthly premium for them is going to be what? 144, right? And then their total coverage is going to be what? 625. Right? Now you get to know how much you're going to get paid on the 144. As a new rep is 301. As an RVP, they're going to advance you 1324. Right? And your total commission as a rep is 404. And has an RVP is 1766. Okay. When I started part-time Primerica, 1766 is what I used to make every 2 weeks at my job.
What is that by level, Henry?
Right?
By level?
Rep, senior rep, district, division, regional, RVP.
On the right. On the right.
Okay, that means is if you are a rep, a senior rep, and you have a rep that did the policy, that you make 160, right? If you're a district and you have a senior rep that does the policy, you make 240. But if you have a rep, you make 240 plus 160, which is 401. Right? So this is with your rep below you, right below you.
So let's say my rep make 401 and I'm in.
So you're gonna make all of these. You have to add all of these. You're gonna make all of that, which is about $1,300 that you're gonna make, right? But if you have a regional, they make 11, and you make the difference between 11 and 7, which is still 642. If you have a regional doing that, right? So this is why you want to recruit directs, Olympia, because if you get a new rep, they make $400. That's great for them, right? They're a new rep, but you make the difference of $1,300 for helping that new rep get what? License, train, and help them make money.
Yes.
So it is a benefit. It's just not we're making money out of those reps. Is we're training them. We're helping them. We're studying. We're helping them get licensed. One of our reps is studying now. She's going to be taking her test at 2, right? A direct from me. She gets licensed. She does a policy. She makes 404. I make $1,300 for that one policy, or for all future policies, right? If she gets promoted, I make a little less, but she does more, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, is it worth me talking to somebody and helping them study
Yes.
for you to be able to make a profit in your business every time they do business?
Mm-hmm.
Is it worth it? Yes.
Yes.
That's what I tell everybody. Prospect, talk to people, because at the end of the day, you're growing your business, and if they do, and you're helping them get licensed, and if they do business, you make money, right? And that's what we're here for, right? To grow a business and make what? Money, right? So again, those are the differences. What I like to do, guys, if you're talking to someone and they're like, well, how do you get paid life insurance? I would even go in there, guys, and do a quote and say, hey, look, you help this couple, and Cynthia, and you help them. This couple, it might take you an hour or two, right, to give them the quote and do the application and all that. But you make $400 in an hour or two. That's doctor money, right? They charge me $125 a piece for each one of the. I took them to the doctor last week. $125 each, and I think we took maybe 45 minutes each, right? I did a policy like this. I got paid $400 as a new person. I make more than that doctor.
Yes.
How incredible is that? As a RVP, I made $1,700. That my kid's pediatrician would have to see 17 kids to make $1,700. And they still got to pay their employees, right? We're not even counting all that, right? I had to pay nobody, right? Except my lease, right? But either way, you know what I mean? I would show this because it's amazing how a license can make you so much money. Just like the plumber that, Nancy had a get together a couple of last month, and I had a pipe bust, right? And I think the guy fixed it in 2 hours, hour and a half. Charged me $500, right? The guy didn't know any English, didn't know anything, except he knows how to fix the pipe, and I needed a pipe fixed.
Okay.
And he got paid $500, $575 actually, that he charged me. So having a license is important. So that's why when we recruit someone, it's not just to bring them in.
Right.
Let's make sure we get them licensed. Because at any point in time, someone might ask, I need life insurance. And if they have a license, they're going to call you, or they're going to get in there, they're going to quote, and they're going to make money, right? So again, that's the life insurance quotes, right? So we go back to here to start a quote. We go back in here. Quick quote. It saved everything. And now, again, that's for the medical, right? So let's go jump into precision term, right? Let's change both of them, both the husband and wife. We're going to change them to precision term, right? Which is medicals, right? Now look at their monthly. It was $144. Now their monthly premium is what? $109. That's a good amount of savings, right? So if they're healthy, I would say, hey guys, I would rather you have the same quote, same benefits at a lower price. Let's prove to the underwriter that you're healthy by doing a what? Medical exam. Right? And the medical exam process is really simple, right? Once we submit the application with the first month's deposit, then guess what's going to happen? We can initiate and call them as the agent, call them and ask them when it'll be a good time for them to do the medical exam. Most of the time it's going to be in the morning, right? Because they got to do their exam without any food and all that stuff. Because they're going to take blood and urine, mainly, right? Now, Or two, we can let them know, hey, you're going to get a call from the nurse from this company. They're going to ask you, when are you available? And they're going to set the time to send a nurse to you. Okay? Really simple. We'll talk about the second part once that's done. Okay? But that's what it is. But the benefit of doing a medical exam, obviously, is the price. And then it proves to our company that they're a good client.
Yeah, that the risk is diminished.
Right, and they're a good client. Okay, so again, you saw those on there. And then, hey, one of them can be. We can do that too. One of them can be precision term, and the other one can be what? And you see, it's just changes the premium right on there. Okay, so then they say, okay, great, let's jump. I want to do it, Henry. Okay, great, let's click on here, and now we're gonna go back to home, and we're gonna do the application. Right, the application is really simple. We always go back to our menu, and now we're gonna go to the applications, which is Turbo Apps. Apps is for applications, right? And then we're gonna jump right into what? Live application, right? On here, if remember when we talked about earlier on the products, is where you can go and do a practice. You can see the practice app. This is exactly what it's going to look like, right? So you're going to go in here, and we're going to go ahead and start a life app. Now, you can go on here, guys, and start a life app and make it a practice, okay? So we're not going to search for a contact. We're going to add a new contact, right? And then we're going to jump right into it. And it's going to say, hey, welcome. We're going to continue with is this electronic? Yes. Okay, you got to do it. Anything you're doing on here has to be electronically signed. You cannot do paper, okay? If you're doing paper, then it has to be paper signed. So there's an application as well. So we'll jump right into it, right? We're going to do it in Texas, right? Spouse conversion, no, because they're not a client. They're a new client. And am I going to be doing a video? Let's say if I'm doing it on Zoom, I'm going to put yes. If I'm doing it in person, I'm going to put what? No. It's just if you're doing Zoom. So we're not going to do a video. We're going to do it in Zoom, right? It says, right here where it says if it's a practice, visit practice app, and it'll take you to the practice app, okay? This is doing one. And then we're going to continue, and then it's going to go through the process, okay? We're not going to continue there because it's going to be a app, right, that we have on file. So again, that's simple as that. Then you'll start the process. The personal information, driver's license. Huh?
What's the middle one?
Start an MDL app.
That's in New York.
Oh.
That's different. You're going to go with, if you're not licensed, it won't show this.
Okay.
Right? If you want to start a practice app, you can go here. Practice app, right? But what it'll do is it'll take you to where? Remember where we pulled up the practice link? It'll take you there. So you can't do one. Okay? So start a life app, then you'll jump right into it. Okay? It'll say, hey, let's welcome, right? It'll say here, welcome. And then we're going to say, hey, electronic, just like we saw earlier. And then it's going to say the state. Do you want to do it in English or Spanish? Okay? It's not a child conversion. It's none of those. So we'll put no on none of those. We'll continue. And then here, I want to talk a little bit about that, because if both of us are licensed and we're going together, let's say Cynthia recruited me and I still need a little bit more practice, Cynthia's coming with me, then we can share in the profit, right? Because Cynthia's helping me, I'm just not all the way familiar with it. So you can put a what? Second agent. Right. So you add a second agent on there, and let's say Cynthia will add me. And that way, when we do an app, we'll split commission. Right? Typically, if I go with you, I'll just put your name on there because I get an override. That's how I do it, right? But hey, you can do that as well. Trainee, if it's a person that's not licensed yet, this is where you would put them, right? Because they took you to go see that person, and they're going to get credit for their bonus. They're going to get credit for their bonus, right? So we're going to add that there, and then they're going to jump accept. And then right off the bat, it's going to ask you some personal information, zip code, date of birth, and I'll say 90% of the time, when you continue, it's automatically going to fill all this stuff out. Because they search a database of hundreds of thousands of information, and it's going to say, is this your person? It's going to give me their social. It's going to give me everything. And if it is, great. And if it's not, just make the changes on whatever we need to fix. Okay? So I'll pull up their name mainly right there. And then we'll jump right into it. And if you want to add the kids here, we'll add the kids, right? We'll add the kids' information, name, height and weight, and all that good stuff. We'll continue with that. And make sure after that, it'll give you a summary of the kids that are going to be covered. If you want to add one more child, we can keep on adding those. And kids, guys, remember, it can be grandparents covering their grandkids as well. It can be, child, bloodline child. It can be an adopted child. It can be all those, right? It doesn't have to be just bloodline, right? And then it'll ask who's going to be the owner. Remember, the owner can be someone else, right? If I buy insurance on Nancy, I can be the owner. She can be the insured. So this is where you would change it. Typically, the person you're covering is the owner, okay? Most of the time on the owner is going to be parent on child or child on parent. If they're an older child, I can buy insurance on my mom, example, right? Or if they are key man policies, they own a business and the business is going to be paying for that person. Or if they are in debt, if they owe you money, this is a good way to do policies, right? If a person owes that person money, they can buy insurance on that person. If I loan Olympia $10,000 and I'm like, I don't know if you're going to pay me back, Olympia, let me put a policy on you for $10,000. If you pass away, I will be the beneficiary. I am the owner because I'll be paying it. She just has to give me consent, right? So those are your typical things you're going to be doing. You see here it says spouse, mother, daughter, that kind of
One
stuff.
thing on the kids, if they're 18, they still okay, the system is gonna say no, ¿verdad?
If they're over 18.
If they're over 18, right?
Mm-hmm.
Pero if they're like 5, they still can continue until they're what?
If they're actually on this system is 21. So after 21, they cannot be on here.
¿Lo vas a sacar?
You can't add them on there. It won't let you add them. But if they're 18, 19, you can still add them. And then remember, they're covered till they're 25. Yeah. So if they're 22, they have to get their own policy, basically. Right? Also, we just talked about this, right? Businesses, funeral homes, and all that stuff. You can always put them as beneficiaries, right? They ask for the beneficiaries. Do they have any coverage? Really important. If they have coverage at work or they have the coverage through State Farm or whoever, we're definitely going to put the information on there, okay? Even if they're not going to cancel it,
Okay.
put it on there.
What about another Primerica?
Put it on there, okay? And it's going to ask for the policy details. When did you get it? How much? The certificate, policy number, how much coverage, when did they start it? That kind of stuff, right? And then it's going to ask you, are they going to cancel this policy if they get accepted with you? If they say yes, then just put yes. If they say no, I'm going to keep both. Because you can have multiple policies.
Right.
That's great, right? We don't have to do that, right? It's going to ask, again, are you replacing it? Why are you replacing it? Just check one of those if it applies, right? And it's going to make sure if you have multiple policies, it's going to show a summary of which ones you're replacing or not replacing, okay? Then it talks about medical history. Then it'll jump right into it. Do they smoke? Do they have any other medical histories? And each question, just put the best answer that they have. Okay, you don't have to be a doctor, but just ask the question. If they have stuff, they'll say you know. If they don't have stuff, that's how you know. If they have stuff, they kind of give you some things, right? But make sure you ask the questions correctly. Then we're going to go ahead and put the quote that we talked about. Sometimes, guys, they do a rapid check right away, and it says, actually, it costs less. I've had that be to me before. It's like I gave them a quote and it was $144, but it gave me $138. And I was like, guess what? It checked all the medical stuff right now, and you're okay. So that's great. Great news. Sometimes they might say, hey, based on these questions, we might need more information. So guess what? Don't take any payment. Take a COD, right? Which is cash on delivery. We'll get the payment later. Okay? All that good stuff, right? So again, you go through, and then we'll send them. This is the most important part. Make sure they have a good email and a good mobile number, right? Because they will sign online, and then they would give them some things, text them some confirmation numbers and all that stuff, right? And then you as the agent signs, and it says congratulations. There, and sometimes it says right now you are covered. We don't need anything else, which is really nice. And then again, if they're going to do medicals, how do you want it, English or Spanish, so they can send you a person, right? And they're going to give you, make sure that's the information for them to contact them. Now, you can already on here schedule their exam, right? It's up to you how you want to do that, which is really nice. Sometimes their systems is down, it's hit or miss, but it's up to you, right? And then you see the cash on delivery. If some medical questions are iffy, it will tell them that on the spot, right? And then again, put their payment information and monthly or yearly. Make sure we continue to do that, and then we'll send them the next signature is for their payment. So you have one signature for the application and the next signature for their payment, and then you are the last signature, right? Right? And if you sign now, it'll take you right on the spot, and you can sign right there. And then submit. Once all of these are checked out, you can submit now. Policy gets submitted. Okay? So if they got accepted right away, great. They'll get an email, congratulations, and they'll give them My Primerica to log in and look at their app, their policy, right? It'll give them the link and everything. If it's not accepted yet, it says, congratulations on submitting your application. We'll let you know if we need anything else. Okay? So that's the application. So remember, if there's a medical, then we'll schedule the medical exam. Once all that stuff is done, anytime though, during any of that time, we're going to go back to our portal here, and we're going to go to My POL, All Apps for Business and Clients. This is where you can check on those policies. Okay? So let's look right off the bat to our auto and home tracking. If you submit a auto and home quote, and it will tell you on here when you submit it and what happened, okay? Which is really nice. You see here, January. So just right off the bat, Thaddeus did his own quote. He did it a couple of days ago, 3/26, right? Let's see what happened on the notes, right? So nothing major, so they don't need anything. So I would follow up with Thaddeus and say, hey, what happened? Did it go through or not, right? So same thing here. It will say status is lead. Everything's a lead, but if they got the policy, it would tell them as a what? Referral, we got paid. Okay? So all of these are pending. A couple of people here that did their quotes. So it'll tell you right off the bat the last 3 months your quotes, or if they called them. Okay? So it's a great what? To track your out and home. Your life policies, there's one that says Life Manager and Life App Policy. So there are two things that you're going to be using all the time, right? Again, this is your business, tracking my business. So if I go to Life Manager, right, it's going to tell me what's going on. I go to all here, right? It says right here, total issued, and it will tell me what's going on for each one, right? So here, Mrs. Washington got issued. Jose Ortiz got issued. Angela Lanza got issued. So it'll tell me everything that's going on in here, right? So let's say I want to go to Miss Charmaine's. We want to look at that policy. It will pull up that policy for me, and it will tell me what's going on. It's enforced, gives me her personal information, gives me her product information, how many was she covered For how long, right? So she has a 30-year. She's covered for 150,000, and she has kids covered for 15,000, right? Banking information, is it on a monthly draft? Yep, $96 a month on the 28th of every month, right? Rep info, it tells me who's the rep, right? If it was somebody else, I would say who it is, and then obviously it's our office on there, okay? Now let me show you. If she needs a copy or something, I can click on here, and there's the policy. I can print it out for her and mail it to her. So half of the stuff you don't need to call home office for anything, right? Now, for example, right here, let's go to this one, Milton. Issued with requirements. It will tell you something happened, right? So I will click on it, and it will tell me, hey, what's going on? Check this out. So, hey, we did this policy. We submitted, it was $294 a month, right? So, but look, they went ahead and did a medical back record, and it says for military it's changed to class 10 based on what? Tobacco. He told me he wasn't doing tobacco. So instead of $294, guess how much it's going to be? Probably double, right? But we can see how much it is. So let's jump right into it, and let's go see how much it is, right? We're going to jump into his policy. Right, we're going to go to...
He was a new client?
Yeah. Look, what is his policy? His new premium?
It's double.
No.
It's double.
Double.
It says it was 246.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was 246.
Right?
It's double.
Oh my.
So requirements tell me, hey, look, he said he wasn't a what? Tobacco user, and he wasn't, so it was $294, but he actually was. Now it doubled, right? Again, just some information that we can see on there, all your issued and stuff, right? And it tells me everything is issued.
Know?
Huh?
How do they know?
Is it due to medical?
They took medicals.
Oh.
Hmm. So again, I don't put that much personal information because we're recording it, but either way, those are the two things that you're going to see, right? You're going to go to Life app, and you can go to what? Life Manager, right? Now, if you don't know, you don't remember your client's your client's policy number or anything, you can always go to Client right here, Client Inquiry, and you can put your rep number and your client. So, for example, I'm my own client, right? And I am RVP, right? AUSN 7. So I can go in here and it will pull my policy, right? And I can click on it and it will take me to see what my policy number is here. You see here my policy number, how much, $2 million, right? So you can go based off of that, right? And then you can use that policy number, and then now you can go back to policy and you can look at the exact policy, right? So again, this is where you're going to be doing most of your what? After you submit the policy, you're going to go to Life app and Life Manager. That's where you're going to be seeing what's going on every time you submit. So you don't have to call me and say, Henry, what happened to my policy? We can go to Life Manager and you can click on that and it will tell you what's going on. Okay? So again, you got to be knowledgeable about your what? Products, right? Now, one of the last things I'm going to show you that you can go use is Virtual Base Shop. Okay, if you go to Virtual Base Shop and you can't find no information, this is where you can find every time you do any client, right? So actually, I'm going to put myself as well again, and it will have a track record of everything, right? Of everything that you've done throughout the whole time. Okay? So when I did my securities license, right? When I did my renewals, right? Life policies, different changes, right? Security stuff. Anytime I did any investments or I moved money or whatever is all in there, right? So again, we want to make sure, oh yeah, like even refinance, right? The refinance.
Am I there on your list?
Yes. I have access to all of you guys.
Am I there?
Yeah. So again, like for example,
No, HAGPT.
all right,
A ver.
there you go, right?
Oh my goodness.
And then I have all her stuff in there, right? Anytime we've done anything, right? I don't put your business out there, right? So again, Life Manager, go to Documents, find Clients, right? Next week, we're going to be talking about how to go in here if you have paperwork. This is your file cabinet, okay? Think of your virtual base shop has your file cabinet because we don't have file cabinets. We don't have papers. You're going to file everything on your document manager, right? Which is your,
Oh, there it is.
yeah. So you're going to go on here on your virtual base shop. You're going to click on here, and anytime you want to file a document, you're going to file a document, right? And we're going to go back to mine so you can see. Like, for example, my money accumulation program, right? So you can have money take out of your commissions so you can invest, right? So I have money accumulation plan, right? It tells you here, what do you want? 25% of every money I make goes into these investments, right? But this was an actual what? Form. So I scanned it and what? Filed it here, okay? So remember, that is your file cabinet. This is your file cabinet, right? It has every paper that, if it's a electronic paper, it would automatically file it for you.
Yeah.
So if you submit a policy, it's going to automatically file it for your client here. If we need anything paper or anything extra that you're signing or doing, this is where you would be what? Going to and filing it. I will show you down the road later how to do that. That's typically more advanced. That's going to be your divisions, regionals that will be doing most of this stuff, right? Because if you're a new person, just got licensed, we're going to be helping you do most of this stuff, okay? But I just kind of wanted to give you a quick glance at that. But this is where you're going to have most of your reports. Down the road, I'm going to teach you guys how to look at reports, but you got to know your what? You got to know your products. This is what we want to train on today, is knowing your products and understanding where to go find information on the products. And your first major product, which is going to be life insurance, how to go in there, do a quote, how to follow up, how to check on it, and that kind of stuff. All right? So hopefully that helps you guys. I think I went 5 minutes over. But guess what? This is some of the things most people don't train on. They by osmosis think you should know this, Cynthia. Right? But they never sit down with us and actually go through it. This is going to be recorded so you guys can go through it, kind of. But the idea is for you to go in Primerica online and what? Read, quote people yourself so you can get familiar with your products and the system, okay?
Yeah, that's the beauty about having your POL, because you have access all the time, 24/7,
Mm-hmm.
and just, you know.
And this is what we mean by you can do your business from anywhere, right?
Wonderful.
You don't have to come here, right? And do that, right? So hopefully that makes sense to you guys. Again, remember we have April, right? Breakaway April as well. And make sure you go onto your incentives. Also, every Monday, guys, at 11, right? Moving forward in April and on, we're going to be here watching live at 11. So if you want to come in, every Monday at 11, we're going to be in here. Starting in April, we're going to do that. So you guys, so we can come in at 11. We'll go through it and we'll take notes and see what we got out of it, right? Because sometimes we get some good nuggets from the trainers. Look who's going to be on here, April 7th. Omar Replacement. It starts at 11, right? So it's 12 noon Eastern, so it starts at 11 here. So if you guys are available on Mondays, I know some of you guys work in between. Y'all go to work at 8 or 7 in the morning. Y'all get out at 9 or 10. Then don't go back to 3 or 1. Come in here. We'll be doing that moving forward at 11. Okay? Hopefully you guys have a good rest of the weekend. Let's continue to work your business, get your licenses, Your certifications, if you don't have your annuity certifications, make sure you work on that,
Yes, do it.
right? And what's the next license as well, right? If you got life, if you got annuities, let's work on getting what? Securities license, okay? Have a great rest of the week. See you guys soon.
Ask him.
And let's go win. Thank you guys. Have a great, great afternoon.